It's 7 o'clock, and we'll call the meeting to order. We want to welcome all of our guests here tonight, each and every one of you. And at this time, we'll ask Mr. James Fields if he would lead us in a word of prayer, please.
Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight as humble as we know how to say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to work for Tipton County Schools.
Yes.
Heavenly Father, I thank you for the opportunity of just being around such great leaders. Heavenly Father, I ask you to be with our school board members this year, to give them discernment to make productive decisions for our Tipton County students. Heavenly Father, I thank you for the leadership that we have here at the central office. Please continue to bless him and his family. Heavenly Father, I ask a special blessing for our kids as they enter the school system this year, to keep a hedge around them, keep them safe from hurt, harm, or danger, because we know the devil is active. Heavenly Father, we thank you most of all for sending your Son, Jesus Christ, to die for our sins and give us an opportunity for everlasting life. These and other blessings we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. We do our pledge to allegiance now. Salute. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Miss America. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? A motion by Mr. Davis and second by Ms. Proctor. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion passed. Are there any additions? Being none, we'll move on. Would anyone like to remove anything from the consent agenda for discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve? Motion by Ms. Rozelle, second by Ms. McClurkin. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passed. Next, we have Ms. Kendall Willis here, and she is going to present to us tonight the Mr. Richard Joyner Scholarship recipients, and it's so glad to see you and your mom here tonight.
Thank you. I'm glad to have Mom over there with me. I know some of y'all got to visit with her, so I know that this group knows what we're doing here with that, and we started this year with $500 to each of the 3 high schools, and we hope that we will continue that throughout. And that little life insurance policy we didn't even know Dad would get is gonna help make that happen. So we're really glad to be able to hopefully make that keep that going. So we have 3 young people with us here tonight. We're gonna start off with the first is from Brighton High School, Mr. Andrew Thompson. And he is planning to go to Carson Newman, as you can see. Look at him, he is sporting his and as we start, we're gonna hand you this check. So you can turn that right into your college. The kids were asked to write 2 essays for the scholarship. The first one was, during your time as a student in Tipton County Schools, what one school-related experience has positively impacted you the most? How has this experience helped you grow as an individual? And how has this experience helped you accomplish your goals? And then the second essay was, if you could add, change, or remove one aspect of your education you have received during your years in Tipton County Schools, what would it be? How would this change help improve your overall educational experience? Do you feel the change would have a positive impact on many students? They also were asked to hold each of those essays to 1 sheet of notebook paper. So they had to be really precise, because I didn't think Dad would want to have to go through whole lots and lots and lots of stuff. And so, go right ahead, Andrew.
Thank you for letting me be here today. It's a great honor. So I'll start with the first one of a school-related experience that has positively impacted my life. So one school-related experience that has positively impacted me was being elected the captain of the cross-country team. I first became the captain in my sophomore year, and this position continually taught me lessons throughout the rest of my high school experience and prepared me for the future. Being elected for this position at such a young age pushed me to a higher standard and forced me to mature quickly. Usually this role is awarded to an upperclassman. However, the coach recognized my work ethic and character. Even though I was new to Brighton my freshman year, I soon became the second best runner and led many other students in my grade to improve as well. Receiving this important position my sophomore year enabled me to develop confidence and leadership skills, as I was the one leading students who were much older than myself. When I earned this position, I realized that others would be looking to me for guidance, and that I could positively influence others by being a strong role model. As captain, I ensured that I would not tell anyone to do anything that I would not do myself. This forced me to push myself harder, and as a result, I'll be running at a D2 college. I also learned to use positive words in order to motivate and encourage other runners when they're struggling. This position has had an extremely positive impact on me, and I'll apply the lessons I learned throughout the experiences of my life. One aspect I would add to the Tipton County Schools would be increasing the amount of personal finance classes. During my high school education, I received only one personal finance class that lasted just one semester. This single class is not enough to properly teach students how to handle their finances. And the goal of teaching more about personal finance could be accomplished through adding more semester-length classes throughout the 4-year high school years. These multiple classes could handle the intricate as well as easily applicable lessons that personal finance covers. Personal finance is one of the few shared struggles that all students will face once they graduate. Therefore, it is imperative that students be extensively educated in this topic. At the moment, the sole personal finance class is unable to cover the many topics that personal finance covers. However, if more classes are added, the topics such as credit score, investing, taxes, and budget could get the attention that they deserve. This change would have a highly positive effect on every student. Each of the lessons in personal finance can be interactive and directly applicable to their lives. Lack of financial knowledge can lead adults to making bad investments or to fall into deep financial debt. This change would educate people early so that when they become adults, they are ready for the financial world. In conclusion, many students struggle with a lack of financial knowledge, and a greater emphasis on personal finance could have a massive positive impact on their lives.
Our recipient from Covington High School is Miss Sydney Ivory, and she plans to attend the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, studying psychology.
As a rising senior, I was not sure what to expect. I did not know if my last year at Covington High School would be my best or worst. I especially dreaded reading novels and scholarly articles. This remained true until I attended my first day of class in dual enrollment English Composition 1. During the fall 2021 semester, my instructor assigned weekly readings until UT Martin's last day of classes. Pupils of the classroom were encouraged to openly discuss, analyze, and debrief the daily content. Along with outside readings, we were assigned in-class and remote essays to meet our standards and objectives. Unlike many teenagers, this was interesting to me. My English composition classes have impacted me the most throughout my years at CHS. Enrolling in these rigorous courses was a decision I do not regret. I have learned how to properly use collegiate writing styles, and I have grown to enjoy reading for personal enjoyment. In addition, I am more comfortable with asking for help because my instructor offered countless opportunities to get assistance. My enrollment in this course has significantly advanced my personal growth. I monitor my homework and deadlines more, I procrastinate less, and I have acquired better study habits. These skills may sound miniature, but they are immense accomplishments for me. I believe these skills and habits are basic elements of setting and accomplishing future goals. In conclusion, my senior English courses impacted me the most. I have grown to be more disciplined, inquisitive, and organized. I even used the skills I learned to write my college essay that aided in my acceptance to the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, Rhodes College, and Spelman College, among many others. In short, I am forever thankful for my time at CHS and the Tipton County School District. If I could alter the well-rounded education I attained from Tipton County schools, I would add more diverse electives. After consulting with my classmates, many students felt they could have benefited from taking a course in their interest area. For example, scholars stated they would have enrolled in political science, public speaking, anthropology, and photography. I do not feel there are enough options offered to students at Covington High School. Therefore, the school system lacks an enriching curriculum. As I approach my junior and senior years, I embarked on my college and career search. My first step was to choose elective courses that piqued my interest. As I examined the annual course catalogs and registration sheets, I often felt I could only choose from health science, home economics, finance, and agriculture. Although these are popular subject areas, I expected to find something that best suited my desired career path. Recently, CHS began offering courses like cosmetology, psychology, and Bible history. I took an African American history course, and I feel this course was the best history class I have ever taken. Efforts like these are essential to a stronger curriculum for future students. If CHS continues to offer more electives to accompany their tested subjects, I believe students would be more engaged in school. Also, students would be more prepared to pursue their passions. To conclude, diverse elective courses would result in student success and achievement beyond high school. Thank you.
Lindy, excuse me, have you decided on your career path?
Yes. It did end up going into health science, but yes.
Okay. Congratulations. Well done. Wish you well.
Our third recipient, and the one from Mumford High School, is Ethan Nelson. And we have a substitute person in today for Ethan because Ethan is at drum corps. And so this is his brother Jace. So he has volunteered to, I guess he volunteered, I'm not sure your brother went drumming today, I don't know. But he's gonna read for us and we'll just hand you the check and we'll see how that works out. Ethan is planning to go to the University of North Texas at Denton.
So I'd like to start this off with a quick preface. As has already been stated, I am Jace, Ethan's brother. He couldn't be here tonight as he has been with the Music City Drum Corps all summer and has another month left on tour. In fact, as I speak, he's warming up for the competition tonight in Tupelo. If you're unfamiliar with Drum Corps, think of it as a marching musicians major league. It's an elite group of musical athletes. Ethan would like me to tell Miss Kendall Willis thank you for awarding this scholarship to him. He is honored and thrilled he was chosen. It was a pleasant surprise. He hopes to do Richard Joyner justice as he pursues his music education degree at University of North Texas. As cliche as it sounds, band has defined who I am. I don't think I recognized how important it was to me until COVID-19 had taken it away. I was distraught and panicked over the loss of band. It was the most important part of me. Almost every single friend I have is linked to band in some way. My best friends worked, sweat, bled, and cried with me. Band has forged relationships in my life as strong as steel, and these relationships, in which I was lucky enough to live and enjoy, will be with me forever. I've grown so far out of my shell I had grown throughout middle school. I'm a completely different person than I was 5 years ago. I've learned how to work with all kinds of people and learned to love these people as well. I know how to dedicate as much of me as possible to one thing, and I'm such a much harder worker than I ever thought I could ever be. Band and music is so important to me that I've decided to dedicate my life to ensuring other students have the opportunity to grow the same way I did. I plan on teaching students all of the lessons and skills I know, and I wish to accomplish that goal through music. I genuinely cannot imagine any aspect of myself that had I not pursued music. As band and always will be a life-changing decision of mine. I am forever grateful for everything the band program has given me. I really don't have any gripes or desires in regard to the education I myself have received. I am instead occupied by the idea that there are students I know that aren't getting the best out of their education. I want other students to have the life-changing experience I had. There are many students who don't get too involved with anything, and I think the one thing we could work on is getting those students involved. We should offer more opportunities for students to be themselves and be around others like them. This can include other clubs or even more classes to choose from. This ultimately wouldn't improve or ruin any of my experience. I'm leaving in a few months anyway. I just want to be left with the peace of mind that everyone, regardless of who they are, is getting what they need out of their education. They deserve to grow and experience parts of the world they get to see.
We had about a little over 50 applications from the 3 high schools, so I thought that was really a good response. And there were a lot of kids who said diversity in classes. There were a lot of kids who talked about earlier having those things, not waiting, maybe even in middle school, having some career type things coming in at an earlier time so that they didn't feel like they had to choose at the end of high school or later in high school. So, and these 3 kids, thank you again, for what you've done, we really appreciate it. I know Dad would have appreciated it too.
Thank you all.
Thank you all for being here.
Tell your brother you did a good job.
Rebecca, do you have those names? Okay.
That was inspiring to me. That was really good, very good.
Yes.
Superintendent, Dr. John Combs, this is time.
Thank you. I can put my paper on the podium, you know, I'm not as tall as he was, he had to hold his up here, so that was a little easier. Okay, I'm gonna start off, if you don't mind, about 3 things I wanna cover. The first is the resolution. I know I emailed all of you a copy of the resolution that I wanted to put before you to see if y'all would adopt it and have us move it forward. But I'm just going to read over that if that's okay for the group. So it's the Tipton County Board of Education resolution in support of educators. Whereas an excellent public education system is vital to both the quality of life and economic prosperity of the county, and whereas it's essential to have intelligent, nurturing educators committed to the mission of preparing students for a life of scholarship, integrity, and service, whereas research confirms that teachers have an enormous effect on student learning, second only to that of parents. And whereas parents in our community expect classrooms to be staffed with high-quality professionals who are experts in both their content fields and effective pedagogical strategies, and whereas the Tipton County School District strives to meet these expectations by filling all available positions with the best and brightest educators from accredited and proven educator preparation programs. And whereas educational professionals face more diverse considerations in today's educational environment than at any other time in history, including academic performance, extracurricular activities, wellness, counseling, mental health support, among others. And whereas educators in Tipton County School District demonstrate time and again that they are committed to helping all students reach their full potential by fostering engaging self-environments that prioritize critical thinking, problem solving, safety, and meaningful interpersonal relationships. And whereas the Tipton County School District has consistently been recognized for providing rigorous educational opportunities that facilitate exceptional student achievements. That's all the whereases for at this point. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Tipton County Board of Education does formally offer this statement of support and appreciation for the dedicated professional educators who work tirelessly to make Tipton County schools one of the best in the state of Tennessee by providing exemplary instruction, support, and related services to the students in our district. Adopted this 14th day of July, 2022.
Y'all heard the resolution, and I think it's great. I think we need it. And do we have a motion to adopt it? Motion by Mr. Shippen, second by Ms. Proctor. Any questions about it? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion passed.
Thank y'all. I'm gonna send that around. The back page has y'all's signature lines on it, and then I will get that to the appropriate place.
Dr. Combs,
Yes, sir.
could I inject at this point?
Mhm.
Am I correct in saying that our teachers today, their retirement is not as good as, say, mine is?
Probably.
Would you explain it to me?
As far as-
What is their retirement?
Well, as far as like what their benefits, et cetera, would be,
Right.
Mr. Billy might be better explaining that than I would. I may pass that on to him at the last part. But
Well,
as
if
far
I
as,
understand it, they're not getting the participation from the state like we did. Is that correct, Mr. Bailey?
Yes, sir. So what you were in and what those of us that have been, are in that were hired prior to July 1st, 2014 is considered legacy retirement. It's a defined benefit, single life annuity type retirement. Those certified personnel that we're hiring, and that's certified personnel, not classified personnel, certified teachers in the classroom hired after July 1st, 2014 are in what's considered hybrid retirement. And it's a hybrid component of the legacy retirement
with a 401k component. And the difference is, in legacy, you get 30 years of service or age 60, you retire with full benefit. In hybrid, your age plus your years of service have to equal 90 before you can retire. And then you, of course, have that market-based component in the hybrid retirement, where legacy is defined benefit, it's annuity.
Well, anyway, I think that it's very important that, whatever we can do to go back and work on the benefit package and try to involve the state is very important. It's harder and harder to get good students to go into education.
Yes, sir.
And at one time, we could talk about benefits, and that helped get them in our lane, and we've lost that leverage. And I just think it's very important that everybody think about that, because the benefits, when I was a young man, which is a long time ago, I griped about them taking out money for retirement, but you don't hear me griping now. And, you know, believe it or not, those young people are gonna be here one day. And it just concerns me that we're not doing more for our teachers than what we need, than what we can do.
Yes, sir. And it's definitely an issue across the state for sure. You know, you've seen the latest reports, and that is that our institutions that graduate education majors, that number just keeps going down and down and down and down. And it's a lot harder. Every year it's harder to find folks that are certified and credentialed to step into a classroom.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate you saying that. A couple other things I wanted to let you know. I think I sent this in an email to you, but no, Drug-Free Tipton is the group that works here in Tipton County for the prevention of drug abuse, alcohol abuse, that type of thing. We've always had a really close relationship with them because obviously it's great for our students to know that there are programs out there to help if there are any kind of smoking cessation, drug abuse, those type programs, and just to help keep our students away from that environment and that pull. So Drug-Free Tipton is now housed with the Tipton County Schools. They have a new fiscal agent, which is the county. They took over from professional counseling services, so the county is their new fiscal agent, and we now house them. They are housed at Crestview Middle School. They have 2 offices right there at Crestview Middle School, so we're going to be even more involved with them, and we're incredibly excited about that because they already have programs in our schools for drug abstinence and drug cessation, that type of thing. But just the relationship is going to be a whole lot better with them being here close. So we're excited about that. That just happened. They just moved in this past month, and they're at Crestview Middle School. And then the other thing, keep in mind, we are awaiting passage of our budget Monday night. Thank you, man. Monday night, so that law enforcement can secure SROs in every building. So as you know, at last month's meeting in June, y'all passed the budget that was presented for us to go into fund balance and get the additional $494,000, whatever it was, that's close, right? For us to have an SRO in every single building next year, right? That went on to the proper channels, went through the finance committee, it was passed there, and now it's moving on. Full committee will vote on that Monday night, this coming Monday night. And when they vote to approve it, then it's all said and done. Law enforcement can go ahead and be hiring those people to be in those buildings. So we'll have an SRO in every building. I will say I've heard from the chiefs, from the sheriff, and they've already unofficially been working in that direction because that's a process. Law enforcement honestly has gotten almost in the same quagmire as teaching has gotten into, and that is it's hard to find people who will step up and do those jobs. So they are already looking, but it will be official after the vote on Monday night by the county commission. I see no indicators at all that it will not pass. Everyone really seems to be in support of it. So keep your fingers crossed that all that will be done, and then you'll see the budget pass that night. Anybody have any questions about any of those things? All right. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Sorry.
Mr. Shipley brought that up. He said when he was retired, well, there's several of y'all here that are teachers, and they do have a retirement But us that are not teachers, we don't have a retirement plan or anything like that, what somebody may seem to think. That we get a salary, we get a little small salary, but we don't have any benefits for being on this board.
That is correct. And I'll speak on y'all's behalf because I've been asked that before.
Yeah.
On this, as a member of this board, y'all have the opportunity to purchase the insurance that our employees can use. However, you pay full price for it. Unlike, where the school system pays the majority of the insurance for our employees, you are not privy to that. That is correct. I'm saying that out loud, especially for anyone online that's listening. You are not privy to that. You get a specific amount of money, a very small specific amount of money for doing this job, but no benefits come with it.
Don't we get a $10,000 life insurance policy?
Correct, you do, yeah, as the other employees do.
That's the only benefit I don't.
Correct, but you have to, you have to pass on to get it. Yes, sir.
It's really not our benefit.
Let's scratch that one.
That's right, so that's, we'll have to define the term benefit on that one, that's right. Any other questions? Great question.
So we could resign from the board and be a bus driver, then we might have to.
You get
There
benefits.
you go.
There you go, boom.
There you go.
There you go. Now, I'm gonna move on to, a presentation that's always better than mine, and, honor, no pressure, man, no.
Dr. Collins.
Yes, sir.
Guys, I didn't speak last meeting, so we saved it all for this one. I promised Kevin that I hope we get a snack, but I'm gonna try to run through it. But it has obviously been a very, very busy summer. It's very exciting. And if you guys haven't felt the energy increase, then you hadn't been around schools. So I encourage you to get out and check them out. So for starters, the bathrooms. I'm proud to tell you that we have successfully completed Mumford High School and Mumford Elementary School as of yesterday. So those bathrooms are being turned, we've already signed off on those are completed. Drummond's Elementary is, we're hoping to have it signed off possibly tomorrow afternoon or Saturday. So that one will be back online. And then Covington High School, what little bit we have left there, will be finished up this coming week. So with that, we're gonna have a couple weeks that everyone can get settled back, the teachers can get settled in the school without us being right in the middle of them, and they can have the facilities back. I do encourage all of you to go check them out. I mean, it's a big difference that all the hands-free features, from the sinks to the urinals to the toilets to the soap dispensers, toilet paper, to the paper towel dispensers. Huge undertaking, and the contractors we worked with, they have made this project for myself pretty easy. They communicated. It's been pretty impressive, to say the least. We're wrapping that one up. Next, we've done some sidewalk work at Drummond's Elementary, Mumford Elementary, and Mumford High School. We do have a little bit. We do have some more. You like that? We do have some more grant money that we do plan to spend this coming year. We were wanting to get through these to see if anything that we could possibly have run into that we weren't really expecting. But guys, the sidewalks, so what we've done is we've had drain issues to where the buses were, over the years have just crushed the drains. They weren't working properly. So what we've done is turned those into ADA ramps. And so now the water will run on top of the shed into the parking lot. So it's been a nice addition to the fronts. Brighton High School, the track project, they are completed. This one was very interesting to watch. All of the products that they brought in were brought in raw. Literally, they literally mixed everything on site. It was quite impressive to watch it and watch it transform. To turn what you couldn't think could be much prettier, but the football stadium there is now what you got here. And so, if you drive down the highway now and look over, you thought it was pretty before. You should pull over and really admire it. It's a pretty impressive. I had someone earlier say, I thought that field was beautiful until it got the track around it. It's like, man, it looks like a college campus now.
Yeah, we need to get those trees cut along the highway, so when you drive by there.
And recently I did have someone suggest that. Whenever you crest the hill at the bank, they were like, you're only giving people this little short window to enjoy it. we'll see if we can't.
That's
make
probably
it.
ask the county question.
That's what I say. We might have to take that to the county commissioners, but,
I don't think we can whack those down.
but I don't have the authority to do. So, but guys, the vibe just from this, project here, it has been just a ripple effect of people that aren't even, sports minded. They're just excited to feel the energy changing around the campus, around the school system. We have milled and put down the paving at Covington and Mumford. It's currently in what they call the curing stage for this. It's 14 to 28 days, obviously with no rain and this kind of weather. We're leaning towards the 14 day. We might even get in a 10 day if they're not careful. So, but they are waiting during the cure time in order to get the rubber coating. So that's coming up. And the LED lights, that project has begun. They've already demoed Mumford and Brighton. They're bringing in a crane to Covington this coming week to lower the catwalks and all of the lighting, the lights there. But the LED, they're on target. I'm expecting crews in to start back with that installation this coming week, and they're saying less than a week per stadium, and you'll get to see the display of the LED lights. But, and again, all of the projects have gone fairly smoothly. Of course, they all come with their challenges. We've had to work around some scheduling with some of the sports programs. Everyone seems to be very appreciative of what you guys have allowed them to have. And I thank you again for the opportunity to help be such a vital point in this transformation of the school system. People ask what all's going on. I mean, Tipton County school system, as the facilities, the whole system's being renovated. New bathrooms, new HVAC, new roofs, new sports facilities. And thank y'all. The kids deserve it. Does anyone have any questions?
Hunter, I do. I've been down to Brighton this week, and that track is phenomenal. Dr. Combs and I, when we started Brighton, they put the track down, and it was horrendous with the way they did it. Within 2 years, it was gone. But that thing really looks professional.
Yes, sir.
And I want to ditto everything you said about it. It's marvelous. And not only one sport will use that track, all the sports will use that track. And if they don't, they miss a big opportunity.
Absolutely.
Now then, another situation, I was down there watching them practice the other day, and I talked to Dr. Combs about it. And the kids are going in that ditch, crossing from one field to the other. And I don't know what is in that ditch, but that water is not sanitary. And they're going through that ditch. And Mr. George, when we opened that school, built a nice bridge. And it lasted a long time, but it didn't last forever.
Correct.
And I just think it's really important for all concerned that we have a bridge over that ditch.
And that is something that we do plan to do. So instead of going back with a wooden bridge, that from my understanding in the past, whenever it needed repaired, it was just quicker and cheaper, as most things.
Well, we just didn't have any help, and we did it ourselves, so that's what we could do.
So it got torn down, and so now, reached out to, I was talking to Shannon Reed with the county recently about it, and his advice, or his suggestion, I think was a great one, and we're looking, to purchase a flatbed trailer, cut the axles off, literally, and then we're gonna, we would put piers, for it to kind of, to mount to.
Right.
And then would allow us to be able to put, railing welded to either side, and at that point, it could be,
When you look at the calendar, what are we talking about?
that's a great question. I'd have to get approvals before I spend those dollars, but it is on our.
Is that sewer water?
No, it's stormwater. It's a stormwater.
It's got a lot of green stuff in it.
It's not sewer though.
How much water is that?
Coming from the country, it kind of looks familiar.
It's stormwater. I mean, I will say, the thing to me is there's snakes down there, that's my thing.
Stormwater, and then
Yeah.
kids tromping through it, or
They don't need to be
young people tromping through it, it just don't.
I mean, I think our plan, and we've talked about this, even a little bit before you and I spoke, Mr. Grant, but,
is, for the next couple months. I mean, that's the plan, to get it done in the next couple months. It's not gonna be one of those where like, we're gonna work on it next summer. I mean, we are trying to get it done as soon as we
Maybe
can.
call him Mr. Joel.
Yeah, right. Yes, sir.
Mr. Joel
Yes,
Smith
sir.
is the one that built it. He was a great carpenter. We needed a bridge, so we put a bridge across there.
Right,
Yes,
and
sir.
and it is, and Coach Cruz down there, he's mentioned, we've been in contact, he actually saw one, he was riding around, he's like, I found a trailer, I'm like, well, check on the price, and he's like, no, I'm like, well, but that has been, we were actually gonna go down to Baskins here recently, just see, if they got something, sure they got something on that many acres.
I bet they got
Probably
something.
work out some kind of deal on it. But it seemed like a fee, a realistic, long, and also one that would, outlast wood. It could be a one-time purchase that we could just upkeep with, some paint. So,
We're gonna paint it black or something, right?
black, probably put a little gray on it somewhere.
But
the campus in
real deep.
But the campus in general, guys, I mean, they're all, the energy around them, as these projects and being with the track and in and out with the bathrooms. I was in Mumford High the other day, and there was a senior that showed up for pictures that scheduling was messed up. He thought it was there, and he walked in, and he said, man, he walked in, because we were walking in the bathroom, and I looked out and I recognized, like, hey, can I help you? Because I had a guy that just went out to his truck, and he followed the guy in, and I'm like, can I help you? He's like, I'm here for senior pictures. And he looked in there, and he's like, y'all in the bathroom? I'm like, yeah, and he walked in, and he was like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, so, thank you guys.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Hunter.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett.
Next item, next on our agenda, Director of Instruction report, Dr. Bird.
I'm not sure I can follow Hunter with all the nice pictures, but we'll try. The first thing I want to talk about, in your folder, there's a contract from SCORE and School Links. And this is a grant-funded contract through SCORE, as I stated. We were selected by SCORE to participate in what's called the Momentum Metrics Network, and it's a 5-district collaborative, including Metro Nashville, Hamilton County, Clarksville, Montgomery, and Lauderdale. And the purpose is to bolster our students' participation in transition to post-secondary education and training. And School Links is the vendor that will provide a data dashboard for us to use so that we can look for trends in our kids' post-secondary plans and how they're doing. And in order to move forward, we have to have this contract. But as I stated, SCORE has asked us to be in this collaborative. It's part of a grant, and I would just need a motion to approve the contract.
Do we have a motion to approve this contract as asked? Motion by Mr. Farrell, second by Mr. Shipley. Are there questions? Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The motion passed.
The second thing I have, Mr. Chairman, is the state has offered Tipton County Schools an additional 2 pre-K classrooms. Those will be added, if approved, will be added at Drummond's and Charter Academy. And in addition to the 2 teachers, which will be paid for by state funding, we will need 2 assistants in those pre-K classrooms. And our plan is to use funds through Title to pay for those. So 2 additional teachers for pre-K, 2 additional assistants in pre-K, and then a 5th position would be Brighton Middle School would like to use their Title funds to hire an additional interventionist. Our plan is for it to be a teaching position, but if we're unable to find a certified teacher at this point, we might transition that to an assistant position. But we would need approval for those positions tonight.
You've heard the request. Do we have a motion? So moved. Motion by Mr. Davidson, second by Ms. Roselle. Any questions about these positions? Those in favor, aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passed.
In your folders also tonight, I've given you an update on the exit interviews. I had one additional teacher respond and call me back, and so I added that in red and wanted to make sure I got that in your folders tonight so you can read what the person said. I just wanted to keep you updated on where we were as far as exit interviews. And the last thing I want to talk about is I want to share a few highlights from our TCAP data that the state released last week. And right now, We have some preliminary data, but we don't have accountability data, and that will come later as far as where we stand with our AMOs, our annual measurable objectives. But if you will look at the board, these are just some summary points that I wanted to share with you tonight. First, when we look at grade band data, so by grade band, we mean elementary, middle, and high school. Our rates from 21 to 22 in all areas increased with the exception of middle school science and high school social studies. And then the areas where we had the highest gains, elementary and middle school math both saw a 6% increase. Elementary and high school science, 2% increase, and middle school social studies with a 10% increase. So those were the highest gains that we saw in our achievement data. In talking about ELA, which we've done a lot of work in ELA, we have a new curriculum, you know, we'll be going into our third year, so this is our second year using our new ELA curriculum. Student proficiency rates for each grade band in ELA were equal to or greater than proficiency levels prior to the pandemic. So when we compared our data from 2019 to 22, those scores were actually higher in those grade bands in ELA. In addition to ELA, middle and high school social studies proficiency data was also higher in 22 than results from the year prior to COVID. So definitely trending in the right directions. And just to note that elementary does not test currently in social studies. So that was one reason their data didn't improve in social studies. And then the last thing I wanted to tell you, just as far as trending in the right direction, our Tipton County scores and students, we met or exceeded the state in elementary, middle, and high school math, middle school ELA, elementary and high school science, and middle school social studies. So we obviously are proud of our students and our teachers. They have worked extremely hard. I think you would agree with me that these past 2 years have been very hard in school for not only our students, but our teachers as we work through the pandemic and dipping our toes a little bit in virtual when everyone wasn't in school, but we're proud of the progress that our teachers are working hard, our students are working hard, and it's paying off. We still, of course, have room for improvement, but we are trending in the right direction. The only other thing that I wanted to add about TCAP scores, I want to explain just briefly about raw scores and how they're calculated and how the state gives a raw score. We convert that with a calculation that they send us into a cut score, and that's what's used for accountability. And I want to give you just a brief example. So a third grade ELA student whose raw score was 32 correct out of 52. So 52 questions, the child got 32 correct. That's 62%. That score would be considered approaching, which means for accountability purposes that student is not proficient. However, the quick score tabulates into an 85, which is a B, and that's what's on the school report card, the student's report card. So although that particular score wouldn't be considered proficient, the child would have a B on our grading scale as far as the report card. So I think one of the things that we're going to be tasked to do as a district and as a school is to make sure that parents understand their TCAP scores. And they do get a parent report, and it's good, but I think we have to make sure that they understand the cut scores and how that equates to a raw score and how that also is labeled as proficient or not proficient. There are 4 labels that a score can be: below, approaching, met expectations, or exceeded expectations. And those top 2 is what the state considers proficient for accountability purposes. So we just want to make sure that our parents understand those scores and how to interpret them. And most importantly, that they know where their students are struggling and what we as teachers need to do to help them achieve and grow. And that's all I have unless anyone has questions.
Dr. Bird.
Yes, sir.
We used to call it value added or the growth model.
Yes, sir.
How does that figure in? Is it part of the accountability?
Yes, sir. And we don't have any of that data yet. That comes later in the fall, so it'll be a few weeks before we get that, but absolutely, yes. Students' achievement and growth. And there are some other factors into that accountability protocol, ready graduate, chronic absenteeism. There are several things, but yes, sir, growth is factored in as well as achievement.
And when will we get that data, do you know?
It will be later in the fall. We always get the raw achievement scores first, and then they'll send the TBOS later.
Later in the fall, like October?
Probably, yes, sir. If I had to guess.
You know, just personally, I felt like growth was the most important part of the whole lot. Because we can't help where the students are when they come to us. Some might come to us 3 grade levels behind, and some might come to us 3 grade levels ahead. But we have to move all of them. And that protects that real smart student, and it protects the student that's behind, because you have to move them. And if you don't move them, we didn't get credit in the accountability model that antiquated I was used to.
Right. Growth is definitely important, and it is a part of the accountability model, but we also have to look at achievement to make sure that we're growing them at a fast enough rate where they can catch up to their peers if they are
And
behind,
you probably don't remember this, it might be before your time,
perhaps.
but we had school systems who had A in achievement and L in growth.
Right.
Because even though they did outstanding on the state test, they didn't do as well as they should have. And of course, those school systems griped a lot, but they learned to start moving those top students too.
Absolutely.
Becca, may I ask you a quick question?
Yes, sir.
Remember the other day we talked about teacher evaluations and TCAP results and benchmark assessments and stuff like that? Just quickly to follow up on that, are teachers going to get to choose whichever assessment they make an individual judgment on which assessment they want? Or is that going to be something that's got decided by the central office or the school board, or what's the deal with that?
I don't know, I don't know what law you were in reference to the other day, and I apologize, I thought you had answered your own question,
I
so
did,
I did not
I
go
found the
dig.
law, I said I thought it affected, we could choose as a district to choose the benchmark assessments or the TCAS. That was the way the law was originally written, they amended that to make that only for teacher evaluations, not district overall assessments. And I was just wondering, has anybody given any thought to that, or, I mean, I'm pretty sure the governor signed off on it.
There've been a few things that, how can I put this? There've been a few things that he signed off on that we haven't received
Got
feedback
guidance.
from yet. Yes, sir, we haven't received guidance on it yet.
Gotcha.
So, before I've tasted my shoe a few times, so before I say something, I wanna make sure I'm getting the information right, and we'll get you that. But we have not received a lot of guidance on that yet. No, sir.
He might have signed off on it while he was in the charter school meeting.
He may have, he may have.
That's cool, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Bird. Director of Operations, Mr. James Fields.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
First of all, I just want to thank Dr. Combs and, of course, the board for giving me the opportunity to work in this capacity for Tipton County Schools. I was listening to Mr. Dillon when he was explaining the retirement. What'd you say, 90 years? I have 30, this is my 33rd year. With my age, I'm getting real close to that 90, so that sounds pretty interesting. I don't really have a report, but I do want to give you all some of the responsibilities that I'll be doing this year. And I also want to lend some of my time to Mr. Vanderberg after I finish. I will continue to be over people services, if you know what that is. I will continue to approve hardship exemptions. That's when a student is trying to transfer from one school to another. So it's called a special exemption if they miss open enrollment. I'll continue to approve out-of-district students. By the way, we had 53 last year, and right now we have 54. And we're looking at 4 more by tomorrow. So we're hoping we can get that number around 65. And remember, that's $750 per student plus
state funding.
DEP. So that's a nice little piece of change. I'll approve to be, continue to be over SDHA. Of course, that's the appeals process of students, parents appealing their kids going to being remanded to alternative school. I'll continue to be over the GAP program. That program is a graduation achievement program for kids that are overaged or undercredited. to give them a chance to graduate on time. Last year, we graduated 25. This year, we graduated 20, but she served 30 kids. Now, those 10 kids, they could have went to the GED program, or they could have dropped out. They could have went to Job Corps. Several things that could have happened. But she did serve 30 kids. I'll be the Title IX coordinator this year. Had the opportunity to work on a case last year where we got 180 school days. I was on it 42 days. So man, we have to avoid those complaints, and I'll definitely be lifting that to the principals and to the teachers this year to not to put us in those situations. But man, that's a pretty tough job. I'll be the respondent to OCR complaints. Had an opportunity to work on one of those last year, and it was a little better. I think it was like 20 days, but it's very tedious work. I'll be the point of contact for homeless students, the point of contact for foster students, still be over truancy, working with Mr. Chauffeur back here. Be a resource for transportation. We have Mr. Wheel here tonight. He'll do a report. Over food service. We have Miss Sabrina Matthews. She did a great job last year, so I'll be a great resource for her. I know why I got the car now, so I'm athletic director for the county. So I'll be enjoying those football fields this year. Over the HiSET program, or adult education, last year, Mr. Hayes is the director of that program. He graduated 34. It's basically the old GED. He graduated 34 last year and 44 this year. So he's doing an excellent job over there. Over the classified workers, I don't know how many we have, but I'm over the classified workers and the social workers. Dr. Fisher will continue with SACC and 21st Century. That's Projects to See, so she'll be over those grants. She'll help me there. My goal this year is to decrease discipline referrals and truancy petitions. Any questions? I solicit your prayers.
Are you looking for a raise tonight?
I am.
The man with many hats. That's right.
He hadn't even got his first check yet.
If I could I bring this bill up? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fields?
I want to say one thing before you come. I attended the HiSET graduation Saturday, and it was just wonderful. And some of the children gave testimonies of things that happened in their life and still made it through. It was just wonderful. I truly enjoyed it. So I just want to say it was a wonderful experience, and we got to continue to encourage our kids, regardless of what they're going through, to continue their education.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Will Vanderbilt.
Thank you, Mr. Fields.
Yes, sir.
You want a raise too?
When Dr. Combs asked me to take on this position, I wasn't sure that he was impressed with my work or mad at me. Still figuring that out.
I'll let you know.
In your folders this evening, I'm here seeking approval on everything that we have to outsource, that we have to bid out every year. Our DOT physicals, of course, our towing, our fuel, as well as our tire purchases. First thing first, DOT physical. St. Francis Medical Partners is who we chose somehow, or who we recommend anyway. Close in the area, best price. Do you normally vote on these as we go?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll do that. Which one is that?
What's the one?
It's the bottom one,
This one right here.
So it's the best price.
correct.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Do we have a motion to approve St. Francis Medical Partners as DOT physical? Motion by Mr. Shipley, second by Mr. Vincent. Are there any questions about it? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passed.
The next one is towing. Jim Towing, they're the only one that did. They took care of it last year. There was a slight price increase. I think every tow went up $50, which is understandable given the price of fuel.
Right. Do we have a motion to approve Jim's towing for towing?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Davidson, second by Mr. Proctor. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passed.
And the next one is fuel, Wooten, then again, the only one to bid on it. Wooten has done a great job for us. There was a slight increase. They went up from 4 cents above right price to 4.5, but not much we can do about the price of fuel right now.
Right. Do we have a motion to approve Wood Oil for our fuel vendor? Motion by Mr. Farrell, and second by Mr. McClarty. Are there questions? Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed, motion passed.
The last one is the tire purchase. Our choice would be go back with Quality Tire, just like what we had this past year.
They get the best price, right?
They do. You will see right there at Tipton on that 10R22.5. There's a price there of $5.20. We do not use that size any longer. That's old information. We only use the 1122.5, and between Tipton and Quality, they are the exact same price, and Quality is significantly cheaper on the recaps.
Okay.
And they are local.
Yeah. Do we have a motion to approve Quality Tire? Motion by Mr. Farrell, second by Ms. Proctor. Are there questions? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
That's all I have this evening, unless anyone has any questions for me.
Any questions, Mr. Will? Thank you, Mr. Matthews.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Billy Daugherty, our financial, report.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are y'all doing?
Doing good, how about you?
I'm doing great. Now, I was told by Dr. Bird I couldn't stay up here long, but I feel remiss to not talk a little more about TCRS. I want to say a couple of things I didn't say. Because TCRS is a wonderful, wonderful retirement program. It's the 5th strongest in the country, and so it's better than most private market and especially other government pension plans. It's really 3 plans. We think of it as a retirement plan, but retirement's only one component of TCRS. There's also a disability component. So if a person becomes disabled while they're working, whether they're hanging Christmas lights at home or fall over the door getting in the school building, it's 90% of what would have been their retirement benefit. The third thing it is a death benefit. And so the families can draw a death benefit from that. And so it's significant. And also it's portable and quite frankly, it's a good plan. So more years of service, obviously, the more money that you would get. But there are a lot of things that they allow. One of the things that they allow, I always tell the new employees, credible service. Military members, they credit military members for their service in the military, so they give them, I believe it's 3 years credit in TCRS if they've served in the military. For every 20 days of sick leave they accrue on the books, they give them a month towards their retirement at retirement. And so that's significant when you figure it's 1.5% per year for every additional year you have over your time. And so there are a lot of good things to TCRS. I'm proud to be a part of TCRS. So it's a benefit. And the district, while the employees contributed to the plan, the district matches that contribution. So for every 5% the employees put in, or for certified personnel, 8.69%, the district's also put that amount of money into their pension plan. That's difficult to find, even in the private market. And so TCRS is a wonderful plan. And so-
Mr. Billy?
Yes, sir.
Are you under the old?
I'm under legacy, yes, sir. I'm not saying I've been around long as you have, but I've been around long enough to be in legacy. So, but yes, sir, I do like legacy. It's a good plan. But so is the hybrid plan. It's just the new age plan. And so a lot of people are getting away from the defined benefits. So, but I digress. No report tonight as far as finances are concerned. We are still in the process of closing out the previous fiscal year. I've had the enjoyment of being with a number of monitors and auditors from the comptroller's office this week as we prepare to close out our budget, and we're going through our annual audit as is customary. And so Dr. Combs mentioned earlier the budget is scheduled to pass on Monday, we hope, and to be voted on. And so we look forward to that. 2 items of business I do want to bring up to you. In talking and meeting with the comptroller, we're going to have to make 2 adjustments in our plans that we had previously. So you all appropriated money from fund balance for the ag building project. You'll remember that, $350,000. I believe Mr. Bennett spoke at the last meeting, or maybe it was the last commission meeting, but nonetheless, there were issues with site location and bid specs and a number of things Mr. Bennett was not comfortable with. We were going to rebid the ag projects. Bottom line is, the money was not encumbered prior to the 30th because we could not do it because of circumstances. And so I was meeting with the comptroller for a way to roll that into next year's books. I was hoping to do it as a prior year encumbrance, even though we had not technically encumbered the money. But quite frankly, she has spoken with her leadership. We've gotten mixed opinions, but every comptroller employee I spoke with, and today I met with her at this table, and she talked to her leadership, and they said that we could not carry that money over without an encumbrance. And so what that really means is, we're gonna ask you tonight, or I'm gonna ask you tonight, if you all will give us the permission to once again bring that money back out. Because what happens when I close the fiscal year without that encumbrance on that money, the $700,000 that you gave us is gonna roll back into fund balance, just like every unexpended fund across the budget. And we're gonna ask that to come back out so that we can finish these projects this year. You know, we had supply chain issues, there are a lot of things going on, but it'll also require us to go back before the county commission to ask for that money. Now, Dr. Combs and I have not had a lot of time to discuss what our plans are gonna be. We've not had time to meet with Mr. Bennett to discuss this with him, because I literally found that out this afternoon. So what I would like to do tonight to accomplish with the board, if you are in agreement, is for you all to grant us the authority to move that money back out of fund balance. You've already done it once, and it went right back to where it was to begin with. We just want to bring it back out and put it into the general purpose school fund, capital projects account 76100. But it's going to require the county commission to vote on it again. Now, I don't know if we're going to go before the county commission. They haven't passed the budget, so we can't carry it to them yet, right? So it's either going to be August or September, I would anticipate. And a lot of that's going to depend on the responses that Mr. Bennett gets in his rebidding process. So I don't know if what that looks like. So I guess the form of the motion I would be looking for, Mr. Chairman, is that this body allow us up to the $700,000 to transfer out of fund balance to finish our ag projects. Because it may be, I'm not sure, we could get with a vendor, and with supply chain, we might push into the next fiscal year. I hope that's not the case. But I want to be prepared to, if we don't draw the full 350, we have to come back in the following fiscal year to finish up the project. I want you all to know that on the front end. Now, I don't know why it'll take more than 12 months, and it may not. I just want to disclose that on the front end, because it's certainly something we will hope to have kept in the budget so we didn't have to go through this process again. So this is not a new fund balance ask. This is just a recurrence. So this is keeping the books clean, unencumbered money, roll back to fund balance. And we're just bringing it back to capital projects. So I'll be glad to take questions, but that's kind of the motion we would need to move forward, carry before the county.
And Billy, just make sure everybody understands, it's 700,000, so, Mumford is progressing.
That's right.
Mumford, their plans weren't changed, they're rocking and rolling. It would be for Covington High Ag, Brighton High Ag. Brighton High Ag, we had to move, we can't put it across the street, 51, where we normally talked about doing it, so we're gonna do it back behind the building and work on those projects. Covington High, we had to move the location, and then I know we had some animal concerns for a minute, but all that's fine, but we have to rebid some of those things. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So it's just for those two, it's for Brighton High and Covington.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Dr. Combs, because in fact, it will encompass all three. While we have encumbered money against the project that is moving forward, we have not spent all the money. So there's a portion thereof, so I guess I should have been more clear. Thank you, Dr. Combs, for bringing that up, that we may have to pull the remaining balance of the encumbrance for the third building. And I brought a report if you all wanted to look at it. I didn't know if you'd be interested in showing what you all appropriated, what expenditures have been made. It doesn't show every encumbrance, because some of those are open on the books at the current time, so the money still shows as being in the account. But nonetheless.
So it could be more than 700.
It could be more than the 700. It's just that we have not spent the money at all, really, on the Covington and the Brighton projects because of the logistics of moving the buildings. Mumford's on its way to getting done, but it's not done. So
They've already secured and paid deposit for their building.
that's right.
We've heard the request, from Mr. Daugherty. Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Benson.
We did it once before, let's do it again.
Second by Ms. Proctor. Now, are there any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passed.
The second item of business I wanted to bring before you, you know, we all had the goal, and I communicated on a number of occasions that it was our goal to close the 177 capital projects fund by this fiscal year end. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. We've got 2 open purchase orders against that capital funds budget that are not fulfilled yet, which means I have to keep them open in an encumbrance. And so it's quite frankly, we don't want to move that money, and there's a fund balance there. I talked to the comptroller about writing that money into fund balance in the general purpose school. It was their position, and they were in agreement with, leave the money in 177 and spend it from there. The fund balance in that account is about $12,000, not including the 2 encumbrances against it. And the 2 encumbrances against it are to finish the projects at the Brighton field house. Press box. And so, that's what we're waiting on. So all that to say, we may close that, or we may zero that fund out, in 6 months, and it may be closer to the end of the fiscal year. If you have free time and you can't sleep tonight, go to the comptroller's report from last year on the audit, turn to page 46. There's a statement of accountability, and it tells you basically, we don't have to budget the capital projects money because we put that money in there. Now, I'm gonna talk to Director Bailey at Budget Accounts. I hadn't had the opportunity to do that. Again, I just had the meeting with the comptroller today and see how best he feels that we should handle that together moving forward to account for that money. But the money's not going anywhere. We're gonna spend it on something obviously related to the district. But I wanted you all to know that because we had told you our goal was to close that account. And so that's where we stand with that. And that's all I have on that, Mr. Chairman, unless there's a question.
Anybody got any questions for? Well, Mr. Billy, we appreciate it.
That's what we think.
Thank you for the report.
You lost me at turn to page 46.
Yeah. All right, we have other business. We have, we need to consideration of a date change for our November board meeting because it falls right during the TSBA conference. Do we want to do it the week before? Let's see.
I would think the week before.
That'd be the third, wouldn't it?
That's, I believe so. Yes, sir.
Yes, you're right, third.
And we didn't realize till we were finalizing the calendar the other day and we saw it and,
That's okay,
that'd be the third, yes, sir.
You know,
It would be the third.
is there any objection to, changing it to the third? Do we have a motion to, change our November date to the third meeting date? Motion by Ms. Rozelle, second by Ms. McClurkin. So there's no objection, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Well, we'll be meeting the third. Dr. Cole, would you like to add anything?
I just want to say, this year will be my 30th year, not only in public education, but also with the Tipton County school system. And I just want to say that I am incredibly proud to have chosen this profession and to have chosen making that profession and raising a family and everything right here in Tipton County. And I just want to thank you for your support of this profession and for your support of the kids that count on us to provide what we're able to provide for them. So thank you. I really appreciate y'all being willing to sign that resolution and let us tell everybody how proud we are of our teachers and our employees.
We thank you for, putting up with us.
Not sir, we're certainly proud. I mean,
we are.
30 years, that
Yes.
makes you 90. But it's a very important and taxing job. Not ours, but the teachers.
Right, so it is. And the teachers deserve it, they deserve the recognition. They get it from us, that's for sure. And, I think all our teachers know that they're appreciated and they have a good place to work. And we're proud of each and every one of them.
We got some great ones out there that
Got some good
change.
ones. Yes, we do. Yes. Does anybody else have anything? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Ms. Proctor, second by Mr. Benson. We stand